Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to continue my segments on analysing the Chaos Space Marine Codex. Today I'm going to talk about the Heldrake, the only flyer really option in the Codex there is. You can obviously look at Forge World for any other future options, but for us, we've only got really, in the Chaos Codex, one choice. Heldrake's a bit of an interesting one. I think it was once like the scourge of one of the editions where once it was really powerful, but it has gone many changes since then. So how this sort of view goes is that I'm going to look at the stats within the Codex, the war gear options, special rules that do apply in the Codex. Then I'm going to have a look at loadout and rule suggestions for the unit we're talking about, any Legion rules if applicable, psychic abilities and stratagem recommendations. So with that, let's have a look at the Heldrake. So Heldrake has got a movement star, so when it takes wounds it does deteriorate. At 7 to 12 I believe it's 30, 4 to 6 it's 20 and 1 to 3 it's 10. Weapon skill starts at 3, goes down to 4 at the wounds and then 5's at max deterioration. Ballistic skill sticks at 4 because demons love to hit on 4s, that'll become a thing more noticeable when I cover more demon engines. Strength 7, toughness 7, so it is quite strong and it is quite endurable, which is quite handy. It's obviously not Land Raider sort of toughness, and it's not sort of, it's about the same strength I think as a Hellbrute, if not slightly stronger, but obviously they have fists that would make them better. But still, 7s on the board is not bad. I think 8s would have been quite excessive. Wounds 12, again, kind of what I expect, between 12 and 14, but 12 wounds certainly means it is going to survive a bit longer. Attacks, now they deteriorate, they go from 4 attacks at full efficiency, 3 attacks at normal, and 2 when it's, on its last legs. Leadership 8, which only if psychic abilities and stratagems are going to get you, that'll be applicable, because it's not a unit, and it does have a saving throw of 3. So that's obviously quite good. Flyers tend to be around the 3+ saving throw. Sort of vehicles like this, 2+ would be too much to ask. So what is it armed with? It is armed with the Hades autocannon and Heldrake claws. The modern way to replace the Hades autocannon with Bale Flamer, and I'll talk about the importance of that later. But I'll just go into these war gear in specifics because they are pretty much all exclusive to the Heldrake. So Bale Flamer is an 18-inch, essentially an 18-inch flamer. It's 18-inch, assault d6, strength 6, AP -2 and 2 damage, with the weapon automatically hits its target. Really good weapon. This used to be the absolute scourge of armies when it was templates. Absolute, like, it was a must-have on a Heldrake. Would be like, cool, here's a flame template. For those that might remember 7, flame templates, like every model, underneath it would get hit. In case anyone came in at 8th, it was like a template, teardrop, and anything underneath it got hit could result in loads of damage. And now it's only assault d6, but still really good with stats like strength 6, -2 AP and 2 damage. It's going to put a bit of fear into quite a few sort of infantry models. Hades autocannon is a longer ranged weapon, 36 inches, heavy 4, strength 8, -1 AP and 2 damage. So higher strength, lower AP and 2 damage. It is a heavy 4 weapon, and this is going to be important later on. I'll explain why the weapons sort of make this an unusual choice. Heldrake Claws is melee user, so strength 7, -1 AP, so you're going to be scratching some stuff, and D3 damage. When attacking models with the fly rule, you can add 1 to the model's hit roll. Easily forgotten there, but important that this sort of model is, we've seen an artwork before where it's basically grappling onto other flyers and burning it alive and ripping them apart. That's kind of what Heldrake I think was originally envisioned to do, sort of grapple onto other flyers and tear them out the sky. And I like how that's sort of been reflected in its melee sort of capabilities, is that it does get a bit of a bonus when it is attacking sort of other models of fly. Keep in mind that is not just like, flying vehicles and things, that can be models with jump packs. They do get the +1 to hit. Essentially, if it's a full efficiency, you're hit on 2s, which is a scary prospect for something that does D3 damage. That can be a real pain. So yeah, kind of handy to pick off those flying models. Abilities is demonic, so it has a 5-up inbuild to give it a bit more survivability. Infernal regeneration at the beginning of each of your turns. This model heals 1 wound, again making it even more enduring, so your opponent really wants to try and bring it down as soon as possible, because I've played Demon Engines where basically you got them down to like 3 wounds and they're like no longer efficient, then hop, back up to 4, and then they just don't die. You know, sometimes if you don't focus on them, they just begin to regenerate and keep going up. So I really like that when Demon Engines do recover wounds. It proves quite handy at times. Crash and Burn, if this model is reduced to 0 wounds, roll a d6 before moving the model from the battlefield. On a 6 it crashes into a fire explosion, and each unit within 6 inches suffers d3 mortal wounds. So yeah, pretty standard for vehicles. If it dies, you roll a 6, I'm a huge fan of it. It explodes and causes wounds around it. D3 is not bad, I'm pretty surprised. I thought like flyers, when they explode in the sky and rain down ash and metal parts on people, it's going to result in more wounds, but I suppose that's why it's got a 6-inch explosion rather than sort of 3-inch or anything, you know. But I was expecting like big explosion, more wounds, but hey ho, you know, as an explosion, it does what it does. So yeah, a couple of things to note on that one is again, not a bad stat line on it. There are important things to talk about though in its sort of loadout and, you know, sort of role suggestions. So this is going to be pretty simple. Heldrake has sort of 2 ranged weapons to choose from. Its melee is sort of cemented. Hades autocannon and Bale Flamer. However, it really comes down to, you know, sort of, it isn't really a contest, not going to lie. The Bale Flamer mitigates one of the Heldrake's main weaknesses, and that is the fact it is a demon engine and they love to hit on 4s, you know, with their sort of range stuff. Sometimes in melee, though he does hit on 3s. Love hitting on 4s and ranged, and so the Bale Flamer really sort of mitigates that by hitting automatically, though it is d6 hits. The Hades autocannon is a heavyweight weapon, meaning that essentially if you do move, though you don't have a minimum movement, which is common for flyers, you can move up to 30 inches, which is fantastic, or you can move 0 if you wish. You don't have a minimum for that. Because it is a heavy weapon, means that if you are going to be moving the Heldrake, which you will do a lot, you're going to be hitting on 5s with Hades autocannon with 4 shots. It's a lower AP, it's slightly higher strength, and you may get more shots with the Bale Flamer. Similarly put, you know, at 18 inches you're going to have a lot of options with Bale Flamer, and you just hit automatically and get past that 4+ to hit, or possibly 5+ with the Hades autocannon. It just means you're going to be in range of anything. Your mobility is great so that you can sort of direct the Heldrake where you need it to be. This can make it really deadly at picking off enemy straggling units, especially supporting characters. If your opponent makes like a bad move and put a character in a bad position, well, the Heldrake has the mobility to take the most out of it, because you can just move anywhere within that 30 inches and then an 18-inch sort of threat range behind it to sort of position them and give them, you know, a Bale Flamer, which is going to be d6 strength 6, -2 AP, 2 damage, which is going to be a scary prospect. Which does mean, you know, you can work to sort of assassinate, you know, sort of very vulnerable units from there. So yeah, that's kind of what I would see when it comes to sort of the Flamer versus the Hades autocannon. The Flamer itself can be really good scare, you know, can scare elite units quite well as well. Bring none to sort of, you know, bring sort of storm, you know, Terminators, for instance. If they had Storm Shields, then it's not really going to affect them, but if they don't have Storm Shields, then it brings their Invul save down to, I think, 2, 3, 4, I think it brings it to 4+, which is kind of nice, you know, 3, 4, yeah. So it brings it down to a 4+, which is kind of nice, and any fails there is going to be an auto death of a Terminator, which when you're dealing with Terminators is kind of ideal. One thing to be aware of is that if you go down this route, though you do have the fly keywords, you don't have the sort of rule that means that you can only be attacked by other units with the fly rule. So say if you do go, I'm going to flame these Terminators, and you get a little bit too close, then those Terminators may be, hey, you know, we can actually still charge you because you're more or less no higher than sort of, you know, a skimming vehicle. For some reason, you know, the Heldrake is not flying high enough for Terminators to run up and punch it. So yeah, you can flame a few Terminators, but they may come around and, you know, if they've got Thunder Hammers, then you probably shouldn't be close to them anyway. But you know, they might come at you with Power Fist as well, which is gonna hurt you as well. Though keep in mind, you do actually have fly. You know, that means you can, you know, you are a vehicle, but with fly you can jump to the top of a building and land there, you know, perch on top of it and flame away on various opponents from the height of a building. And it just means it's going to be a little bit more difficult for your opponent to get to you. And then you can leap off, fly somewhere else and flame someone else, you know, so it mitigates that difficulty a wee bit there as well. So yeah, when it comes down to Baleflamer and Hades autocannon, I like to see some people try and defend the Hades autocannon. I get some great comments in here every week. I just can't, and for additions I'm struggling to work it out as well. The Baleflamer just works with the Heldrake a lot better. Mitigates its weakness, causes quite a bit of damage, generally a much better weapon. I do think it's a bit more expensive, but I think every point for that is kind of worth it. However, how does the Heldrake do in combat now that we're sort of going down that route? Well, to summarise, the Heldrake does okay. Hitting on a 3+, though that does deteriorate as it takes wounds. Strength 7, -1 AP and D3 damage, with a bonus of +1 when targeting enemy units with the keyword fly. Means, you know, it'll do not bad against light vehicles, maybe some infantry, especially sort of looking at Dark Elder and maybe Elder sort of vehicles, because they love to fly. Then you're going to come by and pick them up and try and shred them. But against sort of heavier vehicles, then yeah, you're maybe going to struggle a little bit, maybe scratch them more than anything else. What I would say the main advantage, you know, like, you know, when you discuss the Heldrake, it does have a 30-inch move without any sort of, you know, minimum movements. So you can reliably get first, if you get first turn, you can choose out a vulnerable unit, possible ones that you want to shut down. Try and find a few lean Russes that are maybe a little bit close together, and basically hold them down for a turn as you multi-charge into them, and then you basically go, right, cool, good luck trying to shoot with them. You know, I move 30 inches, charge 2d6, I'll get in range of your Leman Russes, and I'll shut them down. So that's always quite handy for the Heldrake itself, to harass them. Though if your opponent does see a Heldrake, they're likely either going to be unafraid as they don't have any vulnerable units like that, and they're going to be like, that's fine. They'll have positioned things, you know, they'll screen these units going, you're not going to charge these units, it's not going to happen, Heldrake. Or they get first turn and blast it out the sky. After all, for some reason, the Heldrake did not get hard to hit like other flyers. It's almost like, I don't get that, but fair enough. You know, this thing was supposed to be flying through the skies up high, you know, bombing the ground and flames, but apparently it's just not that fast and not that high to make it difficult to 1, shoot at, and 2, punch if you wanted to. Yeah, maybe just needs to land every once in a while. So yeah, so in terms of combat, I do not see the Heldrake doing too well, but it does make a good harassment unit. Even if you hold your opponent's lines up for a wee bit and hold their firepower down for a wee bit, it can be a real hindrance. Even better, say you survive into turn 2, you can fly away and flame again and do some damage. You can't charge again that turn because you can't fly out and charge again, but you know, those automatic flamer hits will be a real hindrance still. And it will be a target that your opponent will have to deal with at that point, because the last thing you want to do is your Baleflamers firing into turn 3 and then charging another unit and shutting it down again. So yeah, in terms of the Heldrake, in terms of combat sort of abilities, you're going to see it pay dividends when it actually comes to hindering units rather than damaging units. Can do so if you get a good few rolls on it. I mean, it's D3 damage, sure, it might do it, but really I would just plan to chuck out units, try and hold them down and be a real harassment, and your opponent has to focus fire on it to try and bring it down, otherwise it's just going to be a right old pain. So yeah, that's kind of what my thoughts on the sort of, you know, Heldrake loadout. You know what, it's Baleflamer and Hindrance, that's kind of what I've played him in 8th, and most people try and blow him out the sky before I can get that. So yeah, that's kind of the role I see for the Heldrake. What I usually do in these, and this is going to probably I think be the first time I'm going to discuss it where I really can, is that I usually then go into Legion traits. So this is a bit of an unusual one because Heldrakes cannot take advantage of Legion traits at all. This seems to be common for marine type armies such as Chaos Space Marines, Death Guard, Blood Angels, and I think Custodies as well, where basically only their infantry, bikers, walkers, you know, dread equivalents, and in our Chaos's case, Demon Princes, you know, only their forces actually get the advantage of Legion traits. In comparison to other forces such as like Admech and Elder, etc., just about everything gets you know, a Legion trait capability. I'm still a bit confused why this is the case. Every possibility this has been addressed at some point and I have simply missed it. If I have, please let me know what I've missed, but clearly I think this was a key aspect of the game design. Maybe worries about balancing issues, which, you know, if you thought, you know, ignore cover with a Heldrake was, you know, from Iron Warriors was going to be a problem, I don't think that's game breaking. But you know what, I think this may be looked at in future codexes and additions, and they might say, yeah, cool, maybe some of these units need Legion traits, etc. As I said, I'm not sure why, when you know, neutron laser sort of you know, units can fire. You know, Dune Crawlers with neutron laser has the Legion trait equivalent, and then a Predator doesn't. I'm a bit confused by it. Please someone enlighten me, please someone let me know, but I've not seen anything to state why Marine sort of armies did not get that. Bit of an unusual one. So yeah, however, to quickly say what I would say speculatory if I was to say, you know, Legion traits, because I feel I should cover it slightly, of units that, you know, reasons why the Heldrake might take advantage. Iron Warriors would be good for Bell Flamer to ignore cover, because, you know, any bear minus AP when firing is awesome. Dark Raiders being able to advance and charge same turn would be useful, adding D6 mobility, and because you are, you know, the Bale Flamer is an assault weapon, you can still fire it when you advance, and you don't need to worry about the -1 hit penalty because you hit automatically. So yeah, the Dark Raiders one would be fairly handy as well. World Eater, extra attack on the charge, okay on individual units, better for big blobs of units, then you see a lot more attacks when you have more bodies. Night Lord's Terror Tactics, this would be my favourite on a Heldrake because you could just move in like 3 of them, cover a huge amount of the enemy force and -1 morale, and generally these guys should be sort of fear bombing, so Night Lords is quite a good, you know, sort of one to go along with it. If I do play Night Lords, I like to be a bit more thematic and try and take Raptors, Walk Talons, Heldrakes, you know, big fast moving units come down to screech and cause terror. I think that would be quite cool. And finally, Flawless Perfection, you know, would be helpful in the event of a counter charge, because then you get to dictate the sort of rotation of combat when it comes round. Though if something does charge a Heldrake, you're more likely going to be, your opponent's more likely to plan to kill it. If they are planning to, you know, charge it, then you'll probably find it's like Thunderhammer Storm Shields, because for some reason they can reach. Yeah, so yeah, that's me talking about Legion traits. None of that applies here. You know, I just thought it would because that's kind of my structure. But I'm really intrigued to see what people think. I think this is the first time I've ever actually had to address and say I can't talk about Legion traits because this unit doesn't get it, and I covered Admech and obviously everything does there. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one as well. Psychic abilities, because as far as I know, psychic abilities can affect the Heldrake. Ones that are quite helpful for him is Death Hex. Warp Charge 8, if manifested, select a visible enemy unit within 12 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psych phase, that unit cannot take invuln saves. So yeah, though it's not a buff for the Heldrake, why this is useful is simply put, the Flamer can threaten Thunderhammer, Storm Shields, combos, characters especially. With the mobility, you can pick them off with relative accuracy. However, this will be hard if the unit is rocking a good invuln, because I hate Storm Shields, so reducing that and causing extra damage is always good. I know there's a particularly favourite Blood Angel character with a jump pack and a Storm Shield, so if you go, ha, none of that Storm Shield, and you're getting a bit close, my Heldrake came right beside you, so no invuln save for you, and I'm going to flame you, and if you manage to get a couple of more 3s, 4s, I think, yeah, it'd be 3s and 4s, to kill that character, oh boy, none of this sort of Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Blood Angel's character rocking about, which I've heard is dangerous and I think I've faced once. Yeah, anything to bring him down a bit better. And the mobility from the Heldrake just makes it so that it gets it more access to assassinate these units. Diabolic Strength, Warp Charge 6, select a Heretic Staris model within 12 inches of the Psyker. Until the next psychic phase, add 2 to the model's strength and 1 to the model's attack characteristic. So yeah, you do have the Heretic Staris keyword, so yeah, you can be affected by Diabolic Strength. Simply put, this helps the Heldrake so much. It brings its strength 9. This means that you're wounding toughness 4 and 2s instead of 3s, and maybe even better vehicles, even heavier toughness 8 ones, you're going to be wounding on 3s, meaning your claws can do significantly more damage. It doesn't help the weakness of, you know, -1 AP if that was a bit higher. Oh boy, it'd really make the Heldrake a lot more dangerous. But yeah, certainly bringing you up to strength 9 and getting an extra attack does make this quite a nice unit. Whether it's better than Demon Prince is debatable, but still Heldrake, you know. Lastly is Delightful Agonies, Warp Charge 6, Mark of Slaanesh only. If manifested, select a visible Slaanesh Heretic Staris unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, roll a d6 for each time a module in that unit loses a wound. On a 5+, it does not lose that wound. Possibly the best survival spell, and the Heldrake will be 5 up Invul, 5 up Feel No Pain equivalent, which will make the Heldrake a fairly tanky unit. One that your opponent will want to bring down because it's an absolute hindrance, but if you add on Delightful Agonies, it just means it will be much harder to bring down. Especially if it did have -1 to hit because it was hard to hit, but that's not applicable here. But still, having Delightful Agonies is quite nice. So Stratagem Recommendations, yeah, so for once, you know, in this video, and this is sort of the main reason why I wanted to cover the Heldrake more than anything, is that for once I don't need to bring up Veterans of the Long War because it doesn't apply to this unit. You know, so for this review alone, to me, is kind of worth it in spades because I talk about that stratagem, and I'm sure I will when I next go on to Raptors, Warp Talons and Bikers next. I'm going to have to speak about Veterans of the Long War, and I'm still talking about it now, but the main point is I don't need to really talk about the advantages of it because it doesn't apply. But I'll get to it again. So let's go on to the most obvious one, which is Demon Forge. Cost 1 command point. Use this stratagem in your shooting or fight phase when a Chaos Space Marine demon vehicle is chosen to attack. You can reroll all failed hit and wound rolls for that model until the end of the phase. So yeah, this is really good for 1 command point. Ultimately, you're going to be fighting for Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends for best use of this, as I think both of them could probably do better, where the, you know, is it the Forge Fiends will probably do better in shooting and the Mauler Fiend will do better in combat. You know, it's a really good 1 command point and it unleashes so many rerolls, hits and wounds. If you bring at least 1 Demon Engine and you have a bucket load of command points, you will almost always use Demon Forge at one point or another because it's just kind of like 1 command point, have loads of rerolls. It's really kind of a nice sort of, you know, stratagem that will always see sort of some use. One thing I'd say in the benefits of a Heldrake in it, you know, how there's something to be said about Heldrake trying to flying assassinate an enemy leader. Getting close in the shooting phase, take the rerolls to wounds because you've obviously taken a Bellflamer, reroll those wounds, then charge in because you've flown in, flamed, charge it, and then again activate Demon Forge because you can activate it in the shooting phase, and then because it's a different phase you can activate in the fight phase, and then you can try and finish them off, try and pick them up and shatter them to bits. So yeah, I can see this working quite well to try and assassinate vulnerable units, especially characters. You activate Demon Forge once times, get those rerolls and be a real pain. Lastly is Scorn of Sorcery, World Eaters only, 1 command point. Use a stratagem when an enemy Psyker manifests a psychic power within 24 inches of a friendly World Eaters unit. Roll a d6. On a 4+, the effects of that psychic power are negated. Simply put, the Heldrake you know, likes to get in and about your opponent's lines and means Psykers should be in range of at least 1 unit, the Heldrake. Probably other ones as well, but the Heldrake will be close by to just about everything. And just be able to cover a fair amount of the board to allow you to, you know, diminish the enemy Psykers, which World Eaters can struggle with. So if you do go World Eaters, yeah, having that stratagem in mind is always very handy. So yeah, that's it for the Heldrake and flyers for Chaos Space Marines. The Heldrake is no longer sort of the scourge it once was. I remember it being absolute, you know, I once saw it take out hundreds of points of, you know, my admech, because I put them in a tower, and the way sort of templates worked before is it hits everything under that template, and it just, I put so many, you know, Scutari, you know, inside, I think Scutari Vanguard, in this tower, and one of the guys just blew this tower apart and eliminated nearly every single one of the guys inside there. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, he's no longer the scourge he once was, but he certainly brings mobility to the army, being able to just rush across the board and then find a unit and then shut them down if possible, and then work as a big huge sort of distraction. You know, you have to deal with its 5-up invul, and then it's regaining wounds, and it's getting automatic hits with its flamer weapon. It does make it a hindrance that you do need to bring down. Unfortunately, with many armies they usually do have a very good solution to bring it down, but it does make a good hindrance if you do get that first turn and just plough straight ahead and distract your opponent. So yeah, I've always been a fan of the Heldrake. I think it's an absolute great model, just because of the way it is. Some people I know don't like it, but I think it's a pretty cool flyer. If I was to say anything on flyers just in this video, I have in the past purchased sort of flying units for Chaos from Forge World, one of them being a Fire Raptor gunship in 7th edition, and oh boy was it a devastating piece of kit. At one point I might go into sort of Forge World and talk about their flying units because I absolutely think they're cool, but then again I am talking about the Codex for now, and you guys have requested that I do cover some of the Forge World units, so we can maybe get there in the future. So thanks again guys for watching. Please let me know what you think on the Heldrake. I'm intrigued to hear what people's thoughts are on it. Whether they think, oh man, we've essentially not got a flying unit. I'd just love to know your opinion on this one. So please comment, share, like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, you know, and all our sort of social media platforms, and also Patreon to see what we've got going on. And I'll see you on another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.